Hello, my name is Megan Wilson, and today I will be presenting to you my senior capstone project, The Red Thread, a DIY kit to combat period poverty. So today, let's talk about periods. As a kid, this was a subject that I was genuinely curious about after learning about periods in health class. Period care was always an easy conversation with my mom, and I often found myself consulting this educational book, The Care and Keeping of You. As an awkward middle schooler, I was even a little excited when I got my first period and thought it was kind of cool. I was confused why my friends acted weird when I told them, though. The taboo of the subject made me want to know more. When shopping for period products, I never really thought about how essential of a care item they are or what it would be like to live life without them. The colorful menstrual care aisle was always stocked to the brim. But in high school and later in college, after some research, I learned that is not everyone's experience. Across the globe, millions of women experience period poverty, especially in third world and developing nations. So today I will be going over what is period poverty and what's it like to experience period poverty, what products are available to women, and finally the story of the Red Thread project. So starting off, what is period poverty? Period poverty is threefold. It's a lack of access to menstrual products that are safe, sanitary, and comfortable. It's a lack of access to menstrual health education, whether that's on personal care or even just general knowledge of what a period is. And it's a lack of access to sanitary facilities that are private and clean and allow for a woman to dispose of her product properly. There are approximately 1.9 billion women who menstruate across the globe today. And over 500 million, or 26% of those women, struggle to manage their menstrual health each month across the world. And there are approximately 383 million women globally who live on less than $2 a day. And we see this extreme poverty in Central Africa, South America, and South Asia. Period poverty is a wicked problem with a looping system of causes and effects. And period poverty occurs where there are generally high rates of poverty, especially in very remote areas. The first major reason that period poverty occurs is because there isn't access to period products, whether that's due to their cost being high or the products just not being sold anywhere nearby. Expensive products cause women to wear them too long, leading to leaking and infection risk, as well as missing work or school. The second major reason that period poverty occurs is stigma, whether it's cultural or religious. A lack of education generates cyclical stigma that makes periods a taboo topic. Not talking about them paints periods to be something as shameful or gross and often leads to improper period care. This carries on through generations as mothers pass on these ideas to their daughters. So let's take a look at what it's like to actually experience period poverty. Women in period poverty often end up using makeshift products such as old cloth or paper products or anything they can find, which often leads to unhygienic practices and infections. According to a study in Odisha, India, it was very common for women in extremely impoverished areas to use old cloth for menstruation, and they would wear it for too long and not clean it properly. And this resulted in higher cases of UTIs within these communities. Improper products lead to leaking and women feeling embarrassed or ashamed. Many studies found that women in period poverty often want to conceal their period, leading them to wash themselves or their clothes in unsanitary environments. And finally, period poverty causes women and girls to miss work or school. And in India alone, over 23 million girls drop out of school each year due to the fact that they cannot care for themselves on their period. So now I'd like you to meet Maria, the self-reliant remote mother in Bolivia. She uses old cloth that she has around the house to manage her period. She's frustrated with how uncomfortable it is and feels anxious and embarrassed about staining her clothes. Maria lives far from community shops and has a pretty limited water supply. Walking through Maria's experience of period poverty, she often feels surprised and panicked at the onset of her period. She finds a cloth to use, not knowing how often to change it. This leads to period stains on her clothes while she's out in public, which makes her feel ashamed. Maria washes her clothes at night, afraid of someone seeing her scrubbing the stains. Next, we have the struggling schoolgirl, Debbie. She currently uses a menstrual cloth like her mom, and sometimes disposable pads when they have them. She often feels paranoid about being teased if anyone finds out she's on her period, and she's frustrated when she has to miss school because of her period. Debbie's period poverty story often starts while she's at school and dismayed by the start of her period. She walks to the bathroom, only to realize she has already leaked onto her clothing. Feeling embarrassed and ashamed, Debbie goes home early and misses the rest of the school week and valuable class time due to her period. So now let's talk about what kinds of menstrual products there are available to women in general. There are a range of period products available, from disposable tampons and pads to menstrual cups, reusable cloth pads, and period underwear. For this project, I was drawn to reusable cloth pads and period underwear due to the fact that they can be made from accessible fabric materials. They generate less cost and waste over time because they can be washed and reused and don't need to be replaced as often. And they're also a low barrier to entry to women who are already using menstrual cloths to manage their period or don't have a whole lot of knowledge about their own anatomy. So looking at these products, I wanted to break down what makes up a reusable pad. Starting with the top and transfer layer, this layer is soft touch to the skin and is meant to wick moisture away from the skin. Fabric types that can be used here include microfiber, bamboo, or fleece. Next is the absorbent core of the pad with the purpose to absorb a majority of the blood, and fabric types that can be used here include flannel, wool, or cotton fleece. And finally, there is a waterproof base that's meant to prevent leaking onto your clothing. Fabric types that can be used here range from Tyvek and TPU to treated polyester and nylon, oilcloth, latex, or even a clean, flexible plastic. There are some pain points that come with using reusable pads. You have to carry soiled pads with you, which can be kind of an uncomfortable experience because you can't just throw them away like a disposable pad. They also need to be washed and dried properly, which poses an issue for women who don't want to be seen washing their pads. And just like any period product, you need to have one with you when you start your period or are on your period. Otherwise, you're in trouble. While this is a dismal issue, there are many organizations that are working to combat period poverty, and they differ in their focus in how they provide aid to women. Looking at where they produce their period products, some organizations produce them in the US and then distribute their products to women in need around the world, often through missionaries. Other companies set up factories and small businesses to create reusable pads that are distributed directly to their community in need. I really liked this method as it kept the distribution of pads close to the women who were in need of them. There were 3 companies that created innovative designs for the products they distribute to women. Starting with the Mooncatcher project, they created a period product that could be used without underwear because they have a waterproof carrier base that can hold a fleece changeable pad insert. They also included a rubber wash bag in their kit. Next is AfriPads, and they have different size and absorbency options for their reusable pads, as well as a small transport bag that you can place folded up soiled pads inside. And finally, the MCC Dignity Kit includes pairs of underwear, waterproof base units, and fabric pad inserts that you can place into the base units. There were details about each of these products that I liked, but also some pain points that were unmet. I liked the design of a separate base unit and a pad you could easily switch out, and I also liked the inclusion of a wash bag or a bag to transport the pads in. Some needs that were left unmet was an intuitive separation between soiled and clean pads because you have to carry both with you. There weren't any signifiers in the product to encourage users to change their pads regularly, and these products aren't self-sustaining, meaning a woman must depend on the distribution of these companies to receive pads in the future. So for this project, the Red Thread, I wanted to design an all-in-one reusable period product kit that teaches women to make their own products and care for themselves, creating a more sustainable solution to support communities facing period poverty. The goals of this project included encouraging healthy menstrual hygiene habits, creating a comfortable, discreet, and dignified period experience, and providing women with the tools and skills necessary to sew reusable pads and period underwear. I created a mood board to drive the direction of my design. I wanted to include soft pink colors and focus more on the sewing and stitching elements for branding to keep the kit discreet yet feminine and welcoming. I also created some design guidelines for the kit. It needed to be easy to make, comfortable, absorbent, and leak-proof, adjustable to different sizes and period flows. It needed to be a discreet design so it didn't necessarily look like a pad and also be easy to wash and dry. It needed to include a transport system to separate soiled and clean pads, and also prompt the user to change their pad often. So now I'd like to tell you the story of the Red Thread project. Starting with the reusable pads, I wanted to create a design that didn't have the traditional shape of a pad. I also wanted to create a pad that could be refolded in between changing, so you would have a clean fabric panel touching your skin. From there, I moved into prototyping with different fabrics and thicknesses to the pad. For the first one, I used a terry cloth core with 2 fleece panels, but this pad turned out to be way too thick and very uncomfortable on the skin. For the next pad design, I included a cotton core, flannel, and fleece top panels. This pad was still too thick, and I found a hidden seam that I tried to create was too bulky and uncomfortable. For my next iteration, I liked the idea of using different color fleece panels in the design that are meant to encourage the user to refold their pad to a different color on top every few hours. I also found that creating a longer nighttime version of the pad helped address the need for heavier period flows or worry about leaking while lying down. These were my final prototypes that narrowed in on a thickness that was just right. It includes 2 flow options, one for a standard period flow, which you can see on top, and one for heavier periods, which has a thicker cotton core, and you can see that on the bottom. I used 2 different colored fleece panels to serve as the top panels, and again, the 2 colors are meant to encourage the user to refold the pad to have the second color and fresh panel on top after a few hours. I then moved on to the underwear design. I needed to create a base to hold the pads and prevent leaks. I wanted to design underwear women could make for themselves. I included a waterproof fabric panel and straps to hold a pad in place, as well as a drawstring waist tie. My first prototype with the drawstring waist tie failed. This garment basically fell completely off when untied, which made it extremely difficult to change your pad out, especially since you were also trying to hold the underwear up off the dirty bathroom floor. So that was not a good experience. For my next prototype, I tried a version with an elastic waist and a stretchy cotton fabric. This design made it easy to change out the pad since it didn't fall off, but the fabric didn't stay in place well without elastic in the leg holes. It was also a challenging pattern to cut just right so that it was comfortable and felt secure. This led to my pivot to modifying existing underwear. I sewed on a waterproof layer with a soft cotton cover and ribbon straps. This was much easier to make and was a more comfortable and secure fit. For my next prototype, I used a corduroy fabric as the top layer, which created a nice non-slip surface that held a pad in place even better. I did notice that the raw edge of this design frayed easily though after even just one wash. So for the next iteration, I used a hidden seam to create a better finished edge on the liner that wouldn't fray. Next, I ideated on the transport bag concept. I wanted to make a bag with 2 different sections, one for clean pads and one for used. I had 2 rough concepts, a bag with a roll-down top similar to a camping dry bag, and a bag with a top panel that folded over. I also discovered the Scrub-A-Bag that served as a precedent for this design. It's a manual wash bag that you can put dirty clothes, soap, and water into and scrub to clean them. It's meant for travel and camping, and this bag is made of waterproof nylon and also features that roll-down top. This influenced my dry bag concept, in which I added a front zipper pocket as a place to store your clean pads. My second concept featured a top flap with a pocket for fresh pads that folded over the main compartment for soiled pads. This was the first bag that I prototyped, and I liked that it mimicked the look of a purse, which made it very discreet, but I found it would be difficult to integrate the Scrub-A-Wash bag technology without making it a separate insert for this bag. So I went back to the dry bag concept, and I liked this prototype that had flat, simple, glued seams for the waterproof nylon fabric. For my final prototype for the bag, I found that the roll-down strap still mimicked a purse shape, and I liked how streamlined the bag design was, with a central washing compartment for soiled pads and a front pocket for clean ones. I also wanted to create instructions for how to make the reusable pads and underwear that you saw before. I hosted a pad making party to test and discover pain points in the instructions. Based on the pads and underwear my friends made, I found that some fabrics frayed more easily and the style of stitching affected how comfortable the seams were. These were notes I took into account when making the final kit. Periods should not stop you from doing the things you love. I'd like to introduce you to the Red Thread Kit. It's period care made for you, by you. In Bolivia, Maria has received her very own kit. Let's join her in opening it up to see what's inside. There are 3 sections to explore in this kit: the sewing supplies, the educational information, and the care system. In the first section, Maria finds fabrics, templates, and instructions to make leak-proof underwear, as well as a sewing kit. She also finds different fabrics and more templates labeled for pads. On the divider piece in the center of the kit, she reads about the different fabric types she can use to make pads and underwear for herself in the future, and this information is tailored to her location. There's also a section detailing the stitching she should use to make simple, comfortable seams. She also notices the information on the pocket holding the instructions. From this, she learns which pad to make for her period flow. She can make pads for days when her period is at a standard flow, or ones for her heavier days. For extra coverage, she can opt to use the longer nighttime pad as well. In the bottom portion of the kit, she finds the care system. This notably includes a complete set of leak-proof underwear and pads she can use to reference when making her own. Maria is ready to start sewing. She pulls out the sewing kit of scissors, red embroidery floss, pins and needles, and also grabs the 4 pairs of underwear in her size, the rolls of cotton and waterproof fabric, and the ribbon for straps. She finds the paper template and the instructions to make leak-proof underwear, and she flips through the underwear instruction booklet. Maria easily follows the diagrammed instructions, cutting out her template, laying her fabrics out flat, pinning them together to cut them out. She then is able to sew the liner together and flip it inside out to create a hidden finished seam. She places the liner on her underwear and then sews it into place. She places the pad where she wants it and then adds the straps based on that as a way to hold the pad securely in place. From these materials, Maria has made her first pair of leak-proof underwear. She leaves her sewing kit out though, since there's more to do. Pulling back out her kit, she grabs the fabrics for pads, as well as the templates, and 2 separate instructions, one for regular flow pads and another for heavy flow pads. She flips through the templates, noticing that there are options to make a longer pad, which is labeled nighttime. She starts by following the instructions to make a regular flow pad, cutting out her templates and laying out her fabrics to cut them out. She aligns the fabric cutouts and then sews them together, folding her pad as shown, so she has now completed a regular flow pad. The heavy flow pad features a similar set of instructions, but now the cotton core is folded in half to create a thicker, more absorbent pad. She sews the core together first and then continues to sew the rest of the panels together, folding the pad as shown to complete her heavy flow pad. Maria has successfully made 2 pads, a heavy flow pad and a regular flow pad. Here's a closer look at the pads and the difference in thickness from the regular to the heavy flow. Maria can tell the difference between the 2 based on this extra seam that can be seen at the bottom of the heavy flow pad. Looking at the care system in the bottom of the kit, Maria lifts the divisor piece and pulls out the care instructions for washing and refolding the pads, a complete set of underwear and pads, a small towel, and the wash and transport bag. The wash and transport bag keeps soiled pads sealed away in the central compartment with the roll-down top, while the front pocket is for a place to put fresh pads. It is easy to carry with you on the go. Inside the bag, there is a washboard to scrub the fabric against and labels in each compartment letting the user know where to place fresh and used pads. Now that Maria has her complete set of underwear and pads, let's see how the whole system works together. She places the pad in her underwear underneath the straps. After a few hours, she's bled through the first few layers, but refolds the pad to have a dry fleece panel on top. This helps her feel more comfortable and improves her pad changing habits. After a few more hours, the pad is completely used. She pulls out her bag and places the used pad in the main compartment and pulls a fresh pad out of the front zipper pocket, where she also stores instruction cards in case she forgets how to refold or wash the pads. Putting her underwear back on, she grabs her sealed bag to take with her on the go. Later that day, Maria has used up all her pads and is ready to wash them. She places the used pads, soap, and water in the main compartment of the bag and rolls the strap down to seal it, scrubbing the pads to clean them thoroughly. She drains the soapy water and replaces it with clean water to do a rinse cycle on the pads. She follows the same scrubbing steps and repeats as necessary until the water runs clear when she drains it from the bag. She then pulls out her now clean pads and also grabs the towel from her kit, laying it out flat. She then lays the pad on top and rolls it up in order to wring it out and get rid of any excess water in the pad in order to help it dry faster. She lays the pad in the sun to dry and sanitize it and feels confident about doing so since it looks like a piece of cloth rather than a pad. The Red Thread Kit creates a system for period care that helps women and girls feel confident in caring for themselves and builds healthy menstrual hygiene habits. To review the main parts of the Red Thread Kit, the leak-proof underwear is easy to make and is a comfortable, leak-proof base for the reusable pads. The pads are also easy to sew and can be adjusted to different sizes and period flows. They're discreet and easy to wash and dry, and also prompt the user to refold and change their pad often with the 2 different colored fleece top panels. The transport bag makes it easy to carry both clean and used pads in a discreet manner. It provides a way to wash your period care system and also prompts the user to change their pads when they need to, since this bag is easy to take on the go. The Red Thread has changed Maria's period experience. This time, she's less worried when she starts her period, since she knows she has her reusable pads and underwear that she made ready at home. She takes the transport bag with her throughout the day and now remembers to change her pad often. She confidently washes her pads using the bag and isn't nervous about somebody seeing this time. For Debbie, she's surprised by her period at school, but thankfully she has her bag with her. She walks to the restroom and pulls out the pad she made, and is now able to return to class and does not miss out on her education. Both Maria and Debbie are confident in sewing their own reusable Red Thread systems. Once the initial pads and underwear wear out, Maria finds soft alpaca wool and cotton to use for her new pads, as well as oilcloth and cotton for the leak-proof underwear. Debbie uses soft muslin and another thick, soft cotton for the pads, and finds a waterproof polyester and cotton for the underwear. With the skills learned from the Red Thread Kit, these women aren't worried about where their next pad will come from. The Red Thread Kit can be sent with missionaries to women in need or used in partnership with pad sewing workshops, since the kits are easy to distribute and contain all of the tools necessary. The kit could even serve as a teaching tool to help set up future pad-making businesses within communities. Overall, the Red Thread Kit provides a sustainable solution to combat period poverty. It's period care made for you, by you. And I would like to thank you for watching my senior capstone presentation, The Red Thread.